Hey everybody, what we're going to do right now is to dive into an app called Graphical Analysis. Graphical Analysis is an app by Vernier, the science company that we use for all of our data collection at St. John's. And it comes in two varieties. There's a desktop variety and there's an iPad variety. The two things are functionally identical with one small exception. If you have the desktop version, you'll find that it's a little easier to copy and paste data from, say, an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheets doc into the things. But anyway, what I'm going to show you is straightforward and it works on both. So we're going to dive right in there. So what I've got is Graphical Analysis app. I'm going to punch that up on my iPad. And when it comes up, you're going to notice there's actually 4 ways that we could get the Graphical Analysis app to work for us. We have on the upper right hand corner this button over here called Choose File. So if I go ahead and click Choose File, you'll see it defaults to these folders that I have on my iPad. So here's how that could work. If you take some data in school, or if you're at home and you have a partner that you're working with who's taken data in school, they could send you that data. They could email it to you. And that email is going to end up, you're going to detach the stuff and put it maybe in your downloads folder. So we could go and punch up that data and just bring it right into Graphical Analysis and start working with it. So super fast, super easy, great way to get data from school to a place where you can work on it at home. The thing that we're going to do is we're going to zero in on manual entry, this button down here at the bottom. And what you see we've got going on our screen right now is a sample example that we work on in class to teach how to do graphing. So this story behind this graph is right here, and the deal with it is that you're working in your uncle's construction company, and you get paid according to how many hours you work. And when you work 33 hours, you make a lot of money. And so what we're going to do is work through all the buttons on the Graphical Analysis thing, and you'll walk away from this knowing how to do everything on Graphical Analysis. So first thing, I've got a 3-box button up here on the right-hand corner of GA. I've got one graph, and if I punch that, you'll see the whole screen becomes just one graph. I've got 2 graphs, so I could actually now graph something like maybe your position and your velocity at the same time, and it's kind of cool so you can compare them. The thing that I'm going to do is send it right back to the default, so graphs and tables. So now we are back in graphs and tables. You'll notice there's the word dataset 1. So next to dataset 1, I'm going to punch that ellipsis, those 3 dots in a row, and I'm going to rename that dataset. And so this is something where if you're doing a lab activity, you're going to name the data something about that's relevant to the lab you're doing. So we'll just erase that, and let's call it my summer job is what we're going to call this particular data. And it fixed my spelling mistake. Thank you very much, Vernier. And so there we go. So same thing is going to be true. If you look at the X and the Y, we don't want to leave those as X and the Y because graphs always have words that tell us what the X and the Y actually are in real life. So I'm going to punch the ellipsis next to X, and I see 3 options. What we're going to do is hit the one that says column options, and that's going to bring up the place where you can give these some labels. But I just want to point out, we'll come back to it later, an add manual column or add calculated column, really useful. So we'll do those in a minute. So anyway, column options. Let's go ahead and call this X. For right now, we're not going to worry about Y. That's a thing for another video. We're just going to put in hours here, and the units would be hours. And so that's good enough for now. We'll apply that, and you can see that that change got made in my X variable. So we'll do the same thing now with column options for the Y. We're going to call this income, and we're going to give it, let's see if it's going to, I want to spell that right. Let's go try that again. And we're going to call that units of dollars. And we're out of here, and we're going to apply that, and so we're good. And so I'm just going to punch in these data. The way it'll work is I'll double tap on the box, and then I'll go to my number pad. When I hit the return key, it'll go right next door to the Y variable, to the Y value that's paired with it, and then I'll pop on over again to the next X value. So it's pretty quick to type in data. It doesn't really matter that you can't copy and paste as easily onto the iPad version of Graphical Analysis. So I'm just going to punch these in real quick. 24 was married with 452, and then let's see, up to 24 hours. Next one is 29 hours. and then 542, and then 31 hours was 578, and then finally 33 hours, you made a whopping $614 that week. So good summer's worth of work. You made a lot of money. What I want to do now is hit the down arrow, and I've got now all the data points on the screen, as you can see. So a couple things. If you touch the screen, you'll notice that stuff happens. This is a really easy way to read the screen. So it's telling me, it's giving me the value of the data point. It's showing right here, I made $344 when I did 18 hours. The next data point, it lets me read that. If I want to get rid of that, I just go ahead and hit X. You'll also notice, if you have kind of fat fingers like I do, sometimes you might be moving along the screen and you'll highlight, whoa, big surprise, I've highlighted a region on the graph. There's reasons why you want to do this later, but right now we don't need that. We're just going to hit that X again and make that go away. What I'm going to finally do is show you, basically wrap up the last thing that you use most of the time, and that's to go to the lower left-hand corner of this, and I'm going to hit that thing that looks like a parabola. I've got an option 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like the sixth thing down from the top says apply curve fit, and that's what I'm going to do. And when I hit apply curve fit, I've got this option that says I can apply a linear fit or a whole bunch of different other kinds of curve fits. So quadratic, I could use power inverse, and there are reasons that you use these in science. The big thing is to know, as you go into the graph, why you're thinking about it the way you are. You don't usually just sort through these and pick them at random. But anyway, we're going to pick linear because it works so well, and we'll click apply. And you can see what I get on my screen is an M, so that's the slope of my data. I get a B, that's the intercept of my data, and I get a thing called the R value, that's called the correlation coefficient. The meanings of all of those things and how do we think about graphs in science, we're going to get in the next video. What I wanted to show you, since we're just about how to push buttons on the Graphical Analysis app, is two last things. I'm going to go back up to my income and show you add manual column. And what would this do? We'll say, well, let's say if you had a younger brother who was working for your uncle and he worked the same hours because maybe you're driving. And so let's go income to, I'm not feeling super creative. We'll just go ahead and let that happen. And that's also going to be measured in dollars. And what you can see happens is it opens up a new column. And let's just go and say that your brother makes some money, but I'm not going to hit enter right now because that's going to flip me back across. What I just did is I hit the down arrow, or actually there's no, on a computer I hit down arrow. On this one I just tapped the next box below. And let's go see here. You made 272, he made 150. So he's doing pretty well for himself, but he didn't make 344, he made 250. He didn't make 452, he made 300. I'm just making these numbers up at random. That's enough that we can get a graph. What I'm going to do is show you that the words now on your graph mean something. They're actually toggles that you can use. So I'm going to go to the toggle on the left-hand side of the screen that says income. And you see that income now has two switches. I can switch on income 2, and what happens automatically is that there's a line that it's drawn through because I had already drawn a line through the first one. If I want those lines to go away, I can do that. But what I'm going to do is bring them back, apply a curve fit, let it be linear. And now I've got the slope and intercept for my brother's work as well. By the way, for taking a screenshot maybe and including this with a lab report, I can drag this around so that the whole screen, the whole data set's visible. But anyway, very powerful, really useful. It scales automatically to your data so you can always see your data. If you wanted, last thing, if you wanted to zoom in or zoom out, the whole screen is actually pinchable so you can see more of the range of the data if you wanted to look beyond the data set that you had typed in. So anyway, that's all for right now. That's graphical analysis on the iPad. Take care. Have a great day.